We're so grateful that you're here for the Rossmore Interfaith Council's Big Questions. How is peace possible in today's world, with James Licht and Kaleo and Elise Ching? Recognizing that the lands on which we work and play and live are native lands, and to build mindfulness of our present participation in colonial legacies, we do land acknowledgements. As people of various faith traditions and life philosophies, we affirm our responsibility to amplify Indigenous voices. We stand in solidarity with local Indigenous communities, and we respect local Indigenous protocol, include not going to the top of Mount D because that was sacred space where only medicine men and medicine women could go. We practice land acknowledgements in order to teach and promote greater public consciousness of Native sovereignty and cultural rights, even here in California, where the first few nations that survived the California Indigenous genocide barely did so, and fewer still gained federal recognition as sovereign nations. We do stand with the Ohlonies and others that are seeking federal recognition right now, and seek folks to meet our Indigenous siblings. Thank you, and take it away, Sarah. Need you to unmute, Sarah.
Unmuted just now. Thank you. Hello. I'm going to take a deep breath, and here we are. And I just wanted to once again welcome adventurers and explorers to Life's Big Questions. How can there, the one question this whole year we're dealing with is, how can there be peace in today's world? Thank you to Susie Cole, President of the Interfaith Council, and to the Big Questions Committee, Ruth Ahern, Channing Miller, and oh, good, Sunshine's on. Hi, Sunshine. These three ladies have been the guiding force for 6 years for the Big Questions Forum, and I deeply appreciate working with them. And thank you, Will, also for your generosity of time and knowledge in hosting our Zoom. Much appreciate you. And to Rossmore Channel 28 for recording this session. So over the past 5 months, we have been privileged to hear perspectives from many different religious and spiritual paths on this big question. As examples, I would like to mention a few of the following, and have no fear, I am not going to do a dissertation on each one of them. This is very fast. From the North American Interfaith Network, global awareness is emerging through universal values, international law, and a redefinition of the other, an acceptance of those who are different from us. Isn't that a nice compilation? From Judaism, peace depends on you and me. It begins with individuals. God will make peace for us. We must partner with God. Love the stranger. From a Methodist, peace comes from relating and belonging. There is a spiritual tranquility that comes from knowing we are loved and needed. We can each make this a reality in our own lives. From the Urantia book, peace can only come about on the world stage if the countries give up the idea of national sovereignty and create a world government under the universal law of God's love for all. God has given each human on this planet a fragment of self, which is a sure guide to divine love. From Ananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, we must love and be loved. We must cultivate our inner life. We can become channels of life to light and life to serve and uplift all around us. From Presbyterian, peace is a gift from God. Peace goes a whole gamut from inner peace to universal peace. When individuals experience individual personal peace, that increases the probability of world peace. And one more from Baha'i. Peace will be possible when unity is established. The love of God, the oneness of God, the oneness of religion, the oneness of mankind. Humankind. Old habits. Today, we have 2 additional perspectives on our big question. The first speaker is James Licht. Am I saying that right, James? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, we usually pronounce it Lichty.
Lichty. That's right.
Lichty.
That's what my husband went over with me. He even looked it up in the translator. Lichty. All right. Lichty. James Lichty, representing the Mennonite faith path. He has provided the following bio. While both parents were born in California, they grew up in German-speaking Mennonite congregations. As a consequence, I jumped at the chance to go to Germany for my junior year of college in 1973. During my second visit to my great aunt Paula, who happened to live about 6 miles from Dachau concentration camp, I learned that her husband had been an inmate there. However, that was after World War II, when the American occupation forces were in charge. Having spent my adolescence wrestling with what it meant to be a pacifist Mennonite during the Vietnam War, this discovery haunted me. Not surprisingly, I encountered resistance as I probed the history of German Mennonites under Nazism. Ultimately, I completed a PhD in European history at UCLA. My most recent publication on this topic is a chapter in European Mennonites and the Holocaust, edited by Mark Jansen and John D. Thyssen. Central to this pursuit has been a broad review of the Mennonite peace witness, how that has played out in our history, and what it should mean for our present and future. A second key area of engagement with my Mennonite identity is that both I and my husband were part of a very small circle who founded the Brethren Mennonite Council for LGBTQ concerns during the 1970s. We are both now retired, living in San Francisco, and active members of the First Mennonite Church of San Francisco. Welcome, Mr. Licht.
Thank you. So it's really a pleasure to be invited to talk to you today. I will do my best to I'll be speaking as a Mennonite. I cannot speak for all Mennonites, but I will be speaking on the basis of Mennonite traditions, which do a great deal to have done a great deal to shape my life and how I approach the world and how our congregation approaches the world. So I'm hoping this is working. I'm trying to get at my PowerPoint. Okay. Is everybody seeing my screen? Good.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is one Mennonite response, and it's going to be, I think it tells you something about Mennonites, but it also tells you a lot about me as well. So why would you ask a Mennonite about peace? Well, we're one of the historic peace churches. The peace churches came together in the mid-30s between the two world wars when Quakers, Mennonites, and the Church of the Brethren were struggling with the fact that members of our congregations had had a lot of difficulty during World War I because of our opposition to participation in war. Some of us ended up in jail. Some even died in jails in the United States. So the three denominations came together to work with the government to establish a conscientious objector status, and then acquired and adopted this term as historic peace churches. Our principles against military service are maybe the feature of these three denominations that most differentiate us from other Protestant denominations. They build on a concept from Paul's epistle to the Romans, one line that asks, "Be not conformed to the world." And Mennonites took that pretty literally. So has that turned Mennonites into specialists on the issue of peace? And should you even be listening to what I have to say? Well, you'll notice off to the left, I have the image of the dove with the olive branch. That is actually this official logo of the Mennonite Church USA. So this concern with peace, this concern with a witness for peace is central to our identity. I grew up in the 1950s, as Sarah mentioned in the bio I gave you. I grew up during the 50s and 60s. I grew up, and as I was approaching my teens, it was the 60s. I was 12 years old in 1965, and I was starting to think about the draft. And should I be a soldier? Should I be a conscientious objector? What was the right thing to do? Did it make sense to take a gun and kill people? So it's something at age 12 I was thinking a lot about. And there were some adults in my congregation who were talking about this book that had just been published by a Canadian Mennonite named Rudy Wiebe, Peace Shall Destroy Many. It had caused a lot of controversy in the Mennonite Church. So it was in our church library, and I checked it out, and I started reading it. Now, so the setting of Peace Shall Destroy Many is 1944, during World War II. It takes place in a small Canadian Mennonite farming community. These are not from that community, but they're images that represent Canadian Mennonites. The simple dress, the urban, the rural context. And the focus of the book is this one young man named Tom Weens, who's thinking about how he should respond to the war. Should he just become a conscientious objector? Well, Mennonites in both Canada and the US, instead of going to war, they had the option of performing what was called civilian public service, where they would go out and do work in a hospital, help stop fires, work with conservation, build infrastructure, do useful things at the home front. So he had that option. He didn't have to go to war. But he was wondering, does that really provide a valid response to the situation? His ancestors had come from the Soviet Union, escaped from the Soviet Union. And now they live in a country that was protecting their rights to religion and freedom of religion. Let's see. So, and these soldiers were defending that country. Those doing civilian public service were able to get through the war unharmed, unscathed. They weren't taking any chances. They weren't really dealing with a conflict out in the world. So this main character also, in the process of the novel, and as you can imagine, in a small Mennonite community, you're presenting this image of being the perfect community, but there are lots of skeletons in the closet. And he started to realize that this peaceful community he'd grown up in was not what it was projecting. And at one point in the novel, he mentions how he had read this line somewhere: "We have nothing to offer but broken gargoyles." And he began to question everything. Question the Mennonite response to war, the refusal to participate with war, but nonconformity, and his whole lifestyle. So, well, what was happening on the other side of the ocean? In Nazi Germany, you had a situation where, as I mentioned to you, Mennonites who chose to conform were actually very actively involved in the Nazi Party, were supporting the movement, were going to war. I had relatives who were Nazi officials. So, and this is partially because Mennonites had abandoned nonconformity. They'd abandoned their historic peace testimony, but they also fell into the sectors of the population that tended to be responsive to Hitler as a leader. And they also believed in the racial ideology that he was promoting. So, should you even listen to what I have to say about the search for peace in the world? Do Mennonites really have anything to offer more than broken gargoyles? Well, I do want to say that if it was not for these traditions of nonconformity and opposition to war, I wouldn't have started asking myself very hard questions about life, about politics, about warfare, already when I was 12 years old. And I have to admit, when I read the book, I was deeply confused by it. Yet, it conveyed clearly the truth of the situation, which was the situation was profoundly complex. And that simple answers were not going to be having an impact. And the community he was in was looking for simple answers. So I never forgot that lesson from the book. And like the main character from Peace Shall Destroy Many, his name was Tom Weens, my key question was, as I approached the draft, as I approached the war in Vietnam, what should I do? And this notion of doing relates to another key component of Mennonite identity, which is discipleship. What does it mean to be a follower of Jesus? What does it mean concretely for our lives and how we live our lives and what decisions we make? Specifically, as the pictures illustrate. Let's see, I need to keep touching the screen with my arrow to keep. We Mennonites are most at ease with ourselves when we are doing something. We don't like to be idle. And we like to be doing concrete things, very specifically concrete things. And one of the things we really like, and we're actually good at, is cooking. So it may seem funny that I'm throwing a Mennonite cookbook at you, but there's a reason for that. You might notice the design on the cover of the cookbook combines both a cross, it's made from food products, but it combines a cross with a dove. And once again, this image of the dove is central to our identity as a church and as a denomination. And the title, More with Less, refers to the principle that we and other Christian communities share of living simply. And trying to make more with less. Not try to just get more, but to get more with less. And it struck me how much this had in common with, let's see, I need to keep. So it's published with the aim of providing for a world in want, a world where there is scarcity, where there is hunger, and how can we do our part in that world? And it struck me how much the title of this Mennonite cookbook, published in 1976, More with Less, is similar to the title of a very recent book published in 2021, Less is More, How Degrowth Will Save the World. Jason Hickel's book is about how do we approach certainly one of the largest catastrophes facing our world today, climate change, or the climate catastrophe. Perhaps there's a connection between the Mennonite approach of simplicity and simple living and a radical approach to our current dilemma with a catastrophe. Again, these images show Mennonites are associated with a very simple lifestyle as opposed to a consumer society, which is engaged in having sort of demonstrating that you're a good human who belongs by what you wear, by consuming a lot, by having a bigger house, by feeling successful, that actually the whole process of going out and buying things makes you who you are. Well, this is a part of how our, So nonconformity and discipleship call on Mennonites to question the systems we live in. And a key assumption of our current system, our current global economic system, is that a healthy economy is a growing economy. I was taught this already in college in an economics course. And it continues to be how most nations measure whether their country is doing well or poorly economically. But Jason Hickel is saying we need to think about whether that's even true. And I think we all have to admit that our global economic system has provided us with enormous benefits. But there are also terrifying consequences we're currently facing with the climate catastrophe that is created by the global warming dynamic. And the fact is that economic growth and energy expenditure are about 99% correlated. We can't have economic growth without an increase in energy consumption. So, can we afford to do that? Can we afford to continue growing and continue finding sources of energy that will meet the economic needs of growth? Well, what's considered kind of a healthy growth rate in our current situation is maybe 3%. That's a modest growth rate. Would a modest growth rate, and we've been doing that for the past couple hundred years easily, would that be viable for us to continue doing? So if you're growing at 3%, that means you would be doubling your economy every 24 years. Well, this means that within 75 years, you multiply it by 8. It's not a straight line increase, which would mean that we would have to, by the turn of the century, increase our energy production 8-fold to meet the needs of an economy that continues to grow. Now, economists use, this is called the rule of 72, in order to understand if you take out a loan and you have interest on the loan, just how much you're going to be ending up paying. And this is used all the time by economists to advise individuals on their individual financial plans, but it's ignored by economists in terms of long-term national or global economic planning. And Jason Hickel is saying, and others are saying, we need to stop. We need to rethink how we're approaching our global economic system. Another area of concern here is diminishing biodiversity. The fact that our whole approach to the planet is human-centric, that 99% or 98% of land animals today are either humans or livestock that are serving us. So the amount of wildlife is radically diminished and diminishing, just as the number of insects have diminished by 45% in the last 35 years and birds 30%. So these are all concerns that my congregation has taken on very seriously. And they're concerns that I think also relate to our religious heritage as Anabaptists. So Mennonites come from the Anabaptist movement of the 16th century. They were called Anabaptists because the founders of our movement did not believe in child baptism. They believed that baptism in the New Testament, which John the Baptist did, was done to adults, that one was baptized on the base of a conscious decision to be a part of a community. And this was a question that was widely being asked at the time, even in the 16th century, even among people, those involved in the Reformation that were not Anabaptists. Are the sacraments biblical? Shouldn't a village be able to choose its own pastor? Should tithes go to Rome or be used for poor relief locally? Are clergy actually closer to God than your average person? And then the last one on that list that I really think is interesting, should the Bible be read with the aid of the Holy Spirit? Now, some of the earliest founders of our movement in the 16th century were followers of medieval German mysticism. And some of their ideas will ring a bell for those of you who've looked into mysticism. So Thomas Müntzer believed that everyone possesses a divine spark within the soul that they can look to as a source of authority. Hans Denk even asked, well, is scripture even necessary? If you already knew the truth and you have it within your soul, do you need scripture to account for it? And Hans Denk went even further, in one sense at least. He said that the law is inscribed in nature and is demonstrated by all creatures. You don't need to be literate, and most people at the time are not literate. But he's arguing you don't need to be literate. We can read it daily in the world. We can learn about God's nature through the world itself. So this is this notion that we can look to creation as scripture. And in our Mennonite tradition, most of us have in fact come from farms. So we have that kind of connection to the land. But I'm not sure we find even the strongest testimony for this within the Christian tradition. So this is where certainly some Mennonites, progressive Mennonites, are looking beyond our traditions. A really powerful formulation of this is the concept of inner being put forward by the Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh. That we need to recover that sense of interbeing with nature, with the creatures of earth. And our tendency in our current economic system is to extract and use the earth to extract and create wealth from. Do we need a full reorientation to our relationship to the earth in this regard, which would be more in line with indigenous peoples who more often have this sense of interbeing with the earth? So even that's not we can find connections in our Mennonite heritage to those concepts. But in fact, we may be more secure in looking for models that are provided by indigenous peoples. This is one question that my congregation is asking itself. So in responding to the current climate catastrophe, members of our congregation have been involved in various organizations. We've been involved in changing our lifestyles and consumption powers. We've been working with elections and the political process, and we've also been engaged very directly in street actions. We're doers. We like to be. We're more comfortable being doers in a sense. We feel like we're having an impact. Another direction we've taken is involvement in the community through Faith in Action, which is an organization that starts, well, what we do here locally, and I think this happens other places, is the leaders of Faith in Action are Spanish-speaking congregations that are low income. We're not actually a low-income congregation, so at this point we're deciding to follow the lead of those who are have less advantages than us and may also be targets of racism, and see where they want us to work and work under their leadership. And so toward that end, we're working on 2 ballot measures for November. One is an empty homes tax, which would put a tax on residential properties, apartments that have been empty for over 6 months in larger apartment units. And the money for that would then go to help pay rent subsidies to low-income people trying to live in the city. We're also supporting there's another measure for a universal basic income that would be derived. The funds for that income would be derived from taxes on, for example, if someone in San Francisco orders something through Amazon.com, so through internet companies. So that's a second place where we're doing, because as I said, we're more comfortable with doing. A third area is the dismantling the doctrine of discovery coalition. So I think you already know a lot about this already, that religious colonialism had a religious and specifically Christian base as we invaded the Western Hemisphere. And starting in the 15th century, the Pope himself gave explorers the right to simply seize lands and ignore the claims of non-Christians, indigenous peoples living on those lands. But then that papal decree was also used by Protestants and even governments who built on it to justify their own land grabs. So the dismantling the doctrine of discovery coalition is engaged with working to in education, but also specifically to intervene in situations around the world where large corporations are gaining access to control indigenous lands. And this is because it's largely in untouched, relatively untouched indigenous lands that the most valuable mineral deposits exist. And these mineral departments are crucial for the development of green energy. So the coalition is not necessarily trying to block mining, but it is trying to ensure that corporations going into these regions work with those indigenous populations instead of simply harming the populations in which those indigenous peoples live now, which is what's currently happening for the most part. Now, maintaining an inner peace is critical because you can't even approach the problems of the world unless you have that foundation of an inner peace. And we take that seriously too. I could talk about that, but you've heard a lot about this, I think, that is valuable from your other presenters. So I'm going to focus on action, what we do. In terms of peace in the world, we as Mennonites cannot say whether it is possible, but I and many others in my San Francisco congregation are convinced that the current systems guiding our global world must be challenged and changed. This is not a simple problem with one clear and easy solution. It's a deeply complex predicament that will take a lot of thought, a lot of reflection, a lot of discussion, and it calls for not for one response, but for many. So that is all I have to offer.
Oh, I bet there is much more that you have to offer, Mr. Licht. Such an excellent presentation. You put there was a lot in what you shared with us. A lot of history, a lot of principles. I'm really delighted to learn about the Mennonite philosophy and way of living. Because I, just see the women dressed in those dresses that I wouldn't want to wear.
I understand.
That's a very, a very, very poor estimate of Mennonites, but that's all I knew about them, and the hats. Right, so I assume that your nonconformity has broken out of that.
Yes.
Oh, good. That's good.
There's a wide range of Mennonites.
That will appeal to men and women.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Now is the time for the people that are attending to ask Mr. Licht to any questions, or for each of you to make any comments. If any of you have, if you have any relationship with Mennonites, maybe some of it's in your background. So we have about 8 minutes for this, and then we'll go on to our next speakers. And you can raise your hand, and don't all speak at once. And give it a minute to think too. I mean, quiet is good. I finally, Ruth. Okay, let me get into the right view. Go ahead, Ruth.
So that was wonderful, and lots of meat and lots of interesting things that I learned today. Where do the Mennonites or the group of Mennonites that you might feel closest aligned to, where do they come down on the peace between nations and between neighbors?
So, yes, that's a good question. I would say that I'd almost say that it's someone who's dealing with this issue of nonconformity a little differently. Originally, my ancestors would not have been engaged in government, and because it saw government as wielding the sword, and that we would not wield the sword, so we left that to the government. So those issues would be dealt with by government instead of us. And in terms of neighbors, Mennonites would try to be good neighbors, but they would often maintain some barriers to their neighbors in order to preserve their way of life. The more progressive Mennonites I would be a part of, would be much more about reaching out and getting to know different peoples and establishing relationships with different peoples and contact between different nations and of course solving problems by peaceful means whenever possible. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you.
I saw Sarah had her hand up.
Dolores White. Go ahead,
Yeah, I'll
Dolores.
let you lead it, Sarah. Yeah.
Well, you can too. Hey,
Okay.
and
Hi.
it all works.
Thank you so much. I'm really impressed with your thoughtful and energetic actions to change the world. It's beautiful to see. And I wanted to add another something else to put on your list that has
Yes.
recently become apparent to me. I noticed that you spend a lot of energy in housing for
Yes.
for the unhoused and the underhoused, people who are struggling just to keep their homes. And there's a movement among the wealthy to grab these homes and pay. They pay in cash. They pay a little higher than they
Yeah.
build. They cause the people to pay more and more. So they're just keeping out the first home buyers and just out of selfish and greedy behavior. And I don't know, I'm just mentioning it because I don't know. I mean, how do you appeal? Because the person, if I was selling my home, I'd probably be awfully tempted with the best offer as well. So I guess just throwing that out. And thank you very much.
That's a really interesting problem. Yeah, thank you for mentioning it. I think we're kind of hoping our empty home tax might be a deterrent to very wealthy people who are buying properties and leaving them empty and not using them.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
To provide housing for people. And some of those people maybe in other countries who are making investments in this country and have no sense of what they're doing. So.
Yeah.
Good. Channing, go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Licht. I love Sarah's synopsis of all of the speakers that have come before. And I listened to you with that in mind, kind of comparing the different faith traditions' approach to peace and to the world problems. And what I'm really impressed with is that the focus of the Mennonite community is on changing the wrongful systems around us, culturally, socially, economically. And I don't know that I've heard that from any of the other presenters, that they have a specific focus on changing the systems that we cannot live with, and we cannot possibly have any kind of peace in the world with these systems and full-fledged. So I want to congratulate you on that. And the only other religion, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that I can think of that does similar work are the Sikhs. The Sikhs feed many of people in the community. They're very, very involved in, correcting the wrongs and being there for people at any point. So I think until we get this spirit of not just talking about charity, not just giving money, but we need to get engaged in the actions that will really help our communities and our people. So that was my first impression. And then I heard you mention, as there are in many religions, the more fundamentalists, especially those that have come out of, 16th, 17th centuries. And then there are the progressives, and this is the case with Christianity today. We have all the way from abortion rights, fundamentalists, all the way to progressives like Will. So I think what really impressed me was, now I'm forgetting what I'm going to say. What impressed me was, in the progressives, I'm wondering, how much interfaith work are you engaged in? Or are you only involved in the interfaith movement? Because so much of what you said is all about what interfaith work is about. And it would be really wonderful if the Mennonites, with your core beliefs, which are very similar to the interfaith movement, could be much more involved in that interfaith movement. So that's just a thought that I had.
Yeah, I'll just say, so to reinforce some of the things you said, there are many directions in Mennonites, and there are conservative Mennonites, and there are evangelical Mennonites, and there are progressive Mennonites, which would be the circle I am more engaged in. Mennonite Church USA is becoming an increasingly progressive movement at the same time that some of the more conservative congregations are leaving and joining other groups. My congregation, for example, doesn't have its own building, but it rents from a synagogue. And so we work very closely and collaborate with that synagogue on a lot of local projects in the city. Faith in Action is also an interfaith organization that we work with. I think a lot of those congregations are Christian or Jewish, but there are also Buddhist congregations involved. So I think our most active approach to interfaith work is where we're actively doing things with other faith movements. And I think there's a question, could we be doing more? And I think that's a very legitimate question. Thank you.
Right. Let me ask one more question before I forget it. How would you distinguish Mennonites from Quakers?
So Mennonites originate in the Anabaptist movement during the 16th century. The Quakers emerge in the 17th century in England. And some of the things that inspire the Quakers are based off of impulses from Anabaptism and the movement that we grew out of. But Quakers on a whole Mennonites tend to be very focused on scripture. Quakers tend to be more focused on the inner voice and relying on and finding that through silence in their meetings. That's right. But there are a lot of parallels, and there's a lot of collaboration between Mennonites and Quakers, not only on things like conscientious objection, but service projects that we work on, and political projects as well.
Excellent. The collaboration is just key to peace almost in any realm. Thank you very much, Mr. Licht. It was just a not only educational, but an uplifting sharing that you did with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we would like to present Kaleo and Elise Ching, representing Taoism. As teachers, Kaleo and Elise have developed a process that engages the body, mind, and spirit. They will share their Aloha Qigong, an ancient Taoist shamanic practice grounded in Chinese medicine. The Taoists map the outer domain of the cosmos as well as the inner domain of the human body. Inner peace can be felt by calming the body, mind through Qigong, meditation, and movement. They have extensive teaching experiences in the Bay Area as adjunct professors at JFK Kennedy University Arts and Consciousness Department. Kaleo has also taught at the San Francisco County Jails and the Jail Psychiatric Unit. In addition to this, Kaleo and Elise volunteer their time and teaching Qigong at many service organizations here in the East Bay and in Palenque, Mexico. Elise also volunteers with animals at the Lindsay Wildlife Experience, which I think is just so sweet. She loves humans and animals. So I would like you to welcome Kaleo and Elise Ching. I turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the whole Interfaith Council and especially the Big Questions Committee. And a special thanks to you, Sarah, the beautiful organization and introductions as well. And thank you for your beautiful presentation, Mr. Licht. That was really appreciated, all that you shared. And also the complexity of your approach, the willingness to examine the hard questions related to peace, because it's not an easy path, but it's one I think everybody here in their hearts holds a desire to follow a path to greater peace. So thank you so much for that. Kaleo and I are going to take a little bit different approach today. It's going to be very experiential. The Dalai Lama says we can never experience peace in the outer world until we make peace within ourselves. So Kaleo and I engage Qigong and other practices as well, sitting meditation and contemplative prayer as a path to inner peace. So we're going to, Kaleo's going to share some principles of Qigong with you today and some foundational practices and also the Aloha Qigong. So the Aloha Qigong is a simple, short, but profound Qigong form that you can do with us today. And I'll also put Kaleo's website in the chat because we have a video of it on our website. So if you want a simple Qigong practice, you can go to Kaleo's website. Also, Rossmore TV has done recordings of some of our Qigong as well. So thanks to Rossmore TV too. Okay, so I will do that, and I'm going to turn it over to Kaleo.
Hey, first of all, it's wonderful to be here with all of you because I can feel your sincerity and your compassion. So, and that's where it all begins. It begins deep within, in the womb of the heart, where we feel the sacred, where we feel that deep love, that unconditional love, where we feel that compassion and that deep honesty with ourselves. It's in the womb of the heart. So all of my ancestors were Taoists, they were Buddhists, they were Confucianists. And I guess within the last 200 or 300 years, some of them became Christians. But I have a long lineage of Taoist ancestors. And this is what calls to me. And when I'm doing Qigong, I feel that I am just engaging the wisdom. I'm engaging the spirit of my ancestors, which live in my cells, in my bones. And my ancestors were Taoists. So they believed how how we are all connected. We are all interconnected. Thich Nhat Hanh says, he calls it the interbeing. So one of the things that I've learned in my own practice is that violence and greed and anger happens when we are detached, when we are separated from our hearts, from our souls. When we are detached, separated from the rest of us, the other beings, all of you. When we are separated or detached from the animal world, the animal kingdom, nature, and from the stars. So when we do Qigong, what we're doing is realizing how we are connecting with the energy from the cosmos. And that we are like a drop within this ocean of consciousness, which is the cosmos. Okay, just like in this screen right now, there's a level of consciousness, there's an intelligence, there's a caring on the screen with these faces. I worked for a number of years for Joe Psychiatric, teaching Qigong and art, and I've worked with children in urban schools. And I'll tell you, the energy there is very different. So this screen is very, it's a very intelligent consciousness in this, that you all bring to this link. So why don't we start by just shaking our hands like this. And you can stand or you can sit, whatever. Just shake. And when you're shaking your hands, what you're doing is you're engaging the meridians, the horizontal meridians of the body. In other words, this is the lung, the large intestine, pericardium, triple warmer, heart, small intestine meridians that lead into those internal organs. On your feet are the kidneys and the bladder, the liver, gallbladder, the stomach, spleen, pancreas. So those are the vertical meridians, and they engage those organs. So by doing this and just shaking your body, what you're doing is you're engaging all the meridians of the body. Okay? So when you engage the meridians of the body, what you're doing is you're regulating and tonifying those internal organs. Okay, so we shake like this, and then we'll just bring our hands close together. And when you bring it close together, you'll feel the energy between your palms. There's a heat, a tingling sensation. That's your qi. That's your vital energy. Okay. When you're doing this, when you're moving backwards and just waving your hands like this, you feel like you're spreading molecules of energy from the air. You feel you're spreading the humidity, the temperature, the texture into the other hand. That's qi, that's energy. When you point your fingers at your other hand like this, and what I'm doing is I'm bringing my fingers down, and now I can feel how the meridians on my fingers are sending energy through my fingers into my palm. So by doing this, pointing at my lower palm and tapping, I feel the energy in my other palm. That's your qi. I can draw a circle on the palm or a triangle. Okay, I can do this. I can just I can bring this palm up to my lungs, my left lung, and I feel the energy from the lung. There's a certain heat from the lung. It's different from the heart. It's different from the brain. It's different from the liver or the kidneys. There's a certain heat texture from the lungs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press in, and what you feel is this density moving into the lung. You feel a texture entering into the lung. And in Chinese medicine, we say that grief attacks the lungs. Grief, regret, shame, guilt will attack and harm the lungs. So I'm pressing in, I feel the energy going into my lungs. Yeah, feel it, you feel the density. And if you do this, you feel your whole arm starts to tingle from the lungs to the hand. You feel this throbbing sensation because what you're doing is you're pressing into that well of energy and you're moving down the meridians. So now if I have a lot of grief, excessive grief, what I want to do is I want to move it out and move it down. Right here in my wrist, if I do this, yeah, just copy, right? You feel the energy on your wrist, okay? If you point your hand like this, you feel the energy moving out of the hand. And you keep on moving, I'm grabbing the energy and I'm pulling it. What you feel is you're pulling the energy out of your lungs. And in Chinese medicine, that's grief, guilt, shame. And I can keep on doing that. I can move down like this and pull it out and give it to Mother Earth. Just do this. Keep on doing this. Yeah, very gentle, very with kindness. And you feel your whole arm beginning to tingle and energy moving out. And when you stop, you can compare the left with the right and you feel the difference, not only in the arm, but you feel the difference between the left lung and the right lung. This is medical Qigong that's been around for 4,000 years. Okay? So now let's do this. Let's shake our whole bodies. And remember what I said, at the tip of the fingers, like when I massage a person, an older person, like an elderly person, I just massage the fingertips and then I do acupressure on the body because the fingertips are the meridians and they go right into those organs. So by massaging the fingertips and the toes, I am regulating the organs, the internal organs of the body. Okay, and I'm helping the organs to function better just by doing that. So that's something you can do at home. Lung, large intestine, pericardium, triple warmer, heart, small intestine. And on your toes is the liver, gallbladder, kidney, bladder, stomach, spleen, pancreas. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll shake our, my toes are moving, you know, my ankles are opening up, my whole body is opening up. I'm doing this. I feel every cell in my body tingling. I feel the intestines warming up, the internal organs receiving qi, energy, receiving blood. I'm feeling the lymphatic system move. I'm feeling the electrical system, the whole nervous system, the brain, just moving through my body. And then when I stop, you feel all this energy just moving out from your cells. Every cell in your body is alive. And every cell is just moving this energy out. It's exuding this energy. everything around you has energy. So if I did this, I went to the top of my head right here, like this, you will feel the heat, you will feel the temperature, you will feel the texture, you will feel there's a certain color from the brain. You move down to the heart, totally different, the energy from the heart. You move down to the belly, very, very different. You go and if you have a partner with you, someone with you, you can just feel their energy. You feel the energy, feel what the left lung feels like, the right lung, feel the heart, just feel. They have all different textures and different colors and sounds. So right where you are, so, let's see, if you're at a table or Risa, if you go to your bookshelf in back of you, and you go to that bookshelf and you can feel the energy of the books. Ed, go to that screen in back of you. Is that a wooden screen? Ed, just go and put your hand about 6 to 10 inches from the screen and you will feel the energy from the screen. Okay, so you can go up to a glass window. You can go to your computer screen. You feel the heat from the computer screen. You can feel it from your table, the table that the screen is on. Just go around and feel, and you will feel different textures, different temperatures. Glass has a different temperature than wood. Yeah, Sarah, you could feel it, right? Yes, yeah, you feel that? You can feel, yeah. Each person, if we were all in the same room and I went up to Channing and I did this and I felt her energy, she would have a very different color, temperature, texture, sound, and fragrance. If I went to David and I scanned David, his would be totally different. So every person, every object has different energy. The ocean, the mountains, very different. The room you're in has its own energy. You walk out of the room into the sunlight, totally different. The energy changes. Okay, so I wanted you to feel the energy around you because I wanted you to see how you are connected to everything around you. If you do this with one of your grandchildren or with your partner, your spouse, it's amazing. You will feel how you two are connected. Okay, like Sarah's right there. I move up to Sarah, and right now, we would connect. Our molecules, but it would almost be like the molecules they stick together. And then if I moved away, Sarah would feel me moving away. Emotionally, physically, energetically, mentally, she would feel that. We're all connected, not only to each other, but we're connected to nature. Go out and do this with your trees, with your rose bush. Do it with your animals. Do it in the sunlight. Touch and receive the light of the sun. Do it in the moonlight and receive the grace of the moon. That's the feminine energy. The sunlight is the masculine, but totally different. Temperature, texture, sound, color, smell. The sunlight has a fragrance. So we're going to do the Aloha Qigong now. And we're going to do it 3 times so you be able to feel it, okay? Elise will start.
So
You know,
I'm going to
thank
do
you.
it standing up, but you could also pretty much do this sitting down as well. So however you're more comfortable. And just find a nice position where your body's upright and have your feet about hips distance apart on the floor. And just let your arms hang out of your shoulders and just shake off like Kaleo had you do. Just shimmer a little. This is called shimmering Qigong. It's a great way to relieve stress and tension before you begin your Qigong form. And then when you pause, you can just feel yourself buzzing with energy. So you feel your feet connected with the earth, your crown open to the heavens, you're receptive to the healthy energy all around. And then this is the Aloha Qigong. E Akua. O divine source of life. Inspire me and open this vessel of creation and energy as I savor the fragrance of earth. Help me to release what harms me. Guide me in loving myself and others. Fill me with the blessings of your light and the strength of Gaia, Mother Earth. As I cleanse and nourish, cleanse and nourish. In your grace, in your wisdom, and in your love. Mama, which means my prayer is said. Uanoa, I release it. Okay.
So now I'm going to do it, and Elise is going to say the words, but I'm going to just describe a little bit about what's happening in terms of the meridians and the body. Okay.
E Akua.
Reaching up into the heavens, into the divine.
O divine source of life.
Ekumomaiola, divine source of life, within the life beyond and within the womb of the heart.
Inspire me.
Reaching into the energy from Mother Earth, drawing the energy from Mother Earth up,
And open this vessel.
and opening your heart. Just open your heart to receive the deep womb of your heart, very deep.
Of creation and energy.
Of creation. Feel the palm, feel the light of the sun or the moonlight in your palms. And drink the light. Smell it, drink it. And let it move down into your body and back to the mother.
As I savor the fragrance of earth, help me to release what harms me.
Releasing the toxins, the stagnant chi, the toxins, the emotional, the spiritual, the physical, the chemical, the energetic toxins.
And guide me in loving myself.
When you're clean, when you cleanse yourself, you can begin to love, receiving the unconditional love
And others.
and others.
Fill me with the blessings of your light.
Fill me with the blessings of your light, the divine light, Father, Son, the cosmic light.
and the strength of Gaia, Mother Earth. As I cleanse,
The light is in my palms and I'm going to cleanse. Cleansing
and nourish.
with healing light, nourishing.
As I cleanse
Cleansing
and nourish.
with healing light, bringing healing light in
In your grace,
the divine,
in your wisdom,
that consciousness, that intelligence of the cosmos.
and your love.
The deep love, the unconditional love that the universe has for you. My prayer is said,
Uano.
I release it. And we'll do it one more time. Eakua, O divine, O Kumomaioa, divine life. From Mother Earth, inspire me and open this vessel. Of creation and drink the light and energy. As I savor your fragrance, help me to release what harms me. And fill me with your light and the strength of Gaia. Cleanse me, nurture me, cleanse me, nurture me in your grace. O divine, in your wisdom, your consciousness, and in your love, your meike aloha, your unconditional love. Ama, my prayer is said, Uanoa, I release my prayer. Mahalo ke aku mahalo, aloha.
Well, thank you both so much. I really feel lighter. It's just that kind of the movement. Oh my goodness, it just feels so good. And then you put the words with it, that cleansing. It seems like the more that one would do this, you would develop a greater sensitivity to how things feel, how different textures feel, and I would like to kind of try it at some point with my eyes closed and see if I could, actually feel the difference. But I think you have to make it kind of a practice, don't you, in order to develop the sensitivity?
Oh, yes, like anything, if you learn how to cook Thai food, right, it takes a while to develop that sensitivity to the spices. Yeah, and so a lot of our students, but they do it in the morning. It's basically an embodied prayer. Yeah, and some people, what they do is they pray to Kuan Yin. We have We teach for a Buddhist Sangha. They pray to Avalokiteshvara, which is Kuan Yin. And we have other friends where they pray to Christ, the cosmic Christ, the Christ consciousness. So it really depends on what's in your core. And what you will notice after you do this, when you keep coming up, opening the heart, moving up, what you're doing is you're opening up the core. And in your core is your value system. That's your spiritual values. It's in the core, and that is unshakable. So that's the way it works. It's not only physical, it's energetic, it's mental, spiritual. When I move my fingers, if you put your hands out there like this, and you move your hand like this, you turn it very slowly, that's the lung meridian that is opening up to go into the lungs. It's going to tonify, it's going to help your lungs. This is the large intestine meridian. This is the meridians. But what you're also doing is moving the whole musculoskeletal system. What you're also engaging is the brain, the motor and sensory nervous system. You're engaging the entire nervous system and the neuroplasticity of the nervous system. You're engaging the cardiovascular system. Doing this, you're moving the blood. You're moving the arteries and the veins. All this, the lymphatic system, all the systems of the body become engaged in this. The respiratory system, when you breathe and open up, if you're out in the moonlight and you breathe and you taste the beautiful moonlight and the starlight, you're filling your lungs with that. The respiratory system, you'll notice that your digestion becomes better. You'll notice that you feel more calm. You also notice that you feel more alert at the same time. You also notice you feel more centered. You also notice that you feel really grounded in who you are spiritually. So these are the things that it offers. This is what Qigong does. That's why it's a shamanic practice, thousands of years old, based on Chinese medicine. It's all about Chinese medicine. Okay, when you release like this, when you turn and release like this, what you're opening up is lung 9 right here. When you open up lung 9, what happens is it releases the inflammation, it releases the emotional inflammation. In other words, memories of trauma in your body will release. You're opening up the meridians, the portals, the acupuncture points. So when you go to an acupuncturist or an acupressurist, and after the session, you feel open and like this, you feel cleansed. That's what's happening. You cleanse yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, energetically, and spiritually.
Beautiful.
That's
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a few minutes. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about this practice, which sounds like a good thing to begin to incorporate, even if it's just shaking your hands? Can you imagine in the grocery store, you're standing in line, what would happen if you start shaking your hands like that? Probably best not to do some of these things in public, huh? Do you ever do them in public?
you can just massage
Oh,
like
right, you can, yeah, you don't have to be so dramatic as to be arrested right now.
we have breathing that you could use to tonify, to strengthen the internal organs. We breathe into the into various organs like the lungs, the kidneys, to strengthen them. You could do that anywhere.
That's true. That's certainly true. People, wouldn't get on your case for breathing. So did anybody else have any comments, or maybe do any of you practice Qigong?
Hi, Sherry.
Sherry, hi.
If there's any questions, we put videos up on our website, and thanks to Rossmore TV, to Georgie and to Brendan, they did incredible videos of us, and they play it on channel 28. But if you go to our website, you can follow along every morning. That's what our students do. They just go to the website and they follow along. Yes?
So what is your website?
Yeah, Elise put it in the text.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Kitty.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. What is your website? I found that exercise so, I can't even describe it, but peaceful and energetic, as you said, at the same time. And it's really something I would like to explore further. So what is your website?
www.kaleoching.com.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If any of you want to keep in touch, just send us your email address, and because we teach often, and you just join in. We teach for a Buddhist group that, and it's free, So it's just it's about sharing. It's about creating peace in the world. Yeah. So just send us your email, and we'll include you.
Thank you.
In the Buddhist group or other places.
I put Kaleo's email in there too, but the email is also on the website.
Okay.
The email's in the chat.
Hi, Will. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for your work. Thanks for letting us get some energy flow today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it?
Ruth had a question too.
Oh, Ruth, please. You're muted, Ruth.
I just unmuted. Okay. So I'm going to ask the same question. In how do you explain, and I know it works, that if we have peace within ourselves, then we're sharing it with others and it's spreading the peace. Is there any other way to think of this as relating to creating peace in the world or helping to promote it?
Well, imagine that if everybody cultivated peace in themselves, there would be no more reason for war, because there would be no sense of disconnection. So I think that's where all the spiritual practices come together, is that this deep understanding that we're all connected, and if we harm another, we're really harming ourselves. So a domino effect.
Yeah. So we feel that if you the evil, the violence, the greed, it comes when you are separated from your deep inner knowing, your deep inner love, separated from, in other words, from your soul, separated from others, separated from Mother Nature and all her nature beings, separated from the cosmos. So through doing this practice, we hope people understand that just by right here, where Elise is sitting, right here, we are attached. We can feel the energy between us. We are connected through that energy. No matter what color you are, what your body type is, what language you speak, what race you are, you will feel the connection. If we were doing this in a room, all of us together, you would feel it. You would feel that whole room alive with this. It's the collective consciousness, but it's more than that. It is this consciousness that we are living in. And it's from beyond. It's around, but it's also within. So that's how we feel that we help to engender peace. That's what we teach. Doing this, using a certain acupuncture point, using a certain meridian. If someone, I'm working with a person who's 97 years old, who's transitioning, he wants help cleansing his body energetically. So that's what I do. Physically, I do a little bit of massage. I do some cleansing, energetic work that you guys just learned today. Cleansing. Helping by listening to him. I'm helping him open his heart and talk, because he told me, I want to die with this freedom, knowing that I am free. I want to leave it all behind. So that's why I'm working with him. It's a way of cleansing, but it has to be physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, and energetic. So that's one of the reasons why I do this practice. I'm preparing for my own transition. I feel my whole life has been about that preparation. Elise wrote a poem. Can you recite that poem, the midwife? And for me, the midwife, this midwife is not only about birth from the womb, which is masculine and feminine, it's about birth into the next life.
It's a short poem about the creative process of living. Midwife says, anticipation always ends. Just be vigilant as the dragonfly who uses mouth and legs to clean her eyes. Your time too has come to push into the light.
Beautiful. Very lovely way to end. Thank you all so much. It's always a rich session. There is no regular big questions session next month. However, I think Dr. Steve Albert was on here, but I don't see him now. He is organized quite a universal, it's called Interfaith Awareness Week, and it's a whole week. And I will send out to the big questions list what that is. The big questions has been invited to do a presentation on the big questions, how it came to be, and maybe give a little excerpt on it. And Will is going to also be doing a presentation on what the interfaith councils in the San Francisco Bay Area, how they coordinate. Is that pretty much correct, Will?
Yeah, especially around our disaster relief, and we're in the midst of preparing public service announcements addressing hate crimes against Jews, Muslims, and Asian American Pacific Islanders. So we're starting with 3 PSAs right now.
Wow. So we've got an hour each. So I will send you the information and how to tune into this. And then we will start our regular big questions session in, let me see, in September. So we'll let you know. So thank you so much. I feel like we've kind of experienced a togetherness together. You know, it's really, really interesting how just pictures of each of us, how our personalities come through. You know, I just really enjoy the smiles. And thank you, Jim Licht, for your presentation. I learned so much and have gained such respect. Really expanded my understanding, and I bet all of us on Mennonites. I want to know more about it. And Nancy Conrad, thank you so much for getting me in touch with the person that put me in touch with Jim Licht, because it was Nancy Conrad that started the whole Mennonite thing. I think you used to be a Mennonite, right, Nancy?
Yes. Yes.
Do
I
you
still
know-
have Mennonite blood in my veins.
Well, it sounds like once you've got it, you've always got it. Well, once again, thank you, Will, and everybody, and maybe we'll see many of you. The date for the Interfaith Awareness Week is August 7th through, what's 5 days, of August 12th, something like that. And I'll send you the schedule if you're interested in tuning in. A whole week on interfaith from all over the world and what interfaith people are doing all over the world. So you can tune in anytime when you get the schedule. So maybe we'll see you at that time. Okay. God
Sarah,
bless. Yes, yes, ma'am.
could we offer an invitation to our audience today that if they have any ideas, since we're coming to the end of the year, if you have any positive ideas for questions, please send them to Sarah. And the committee will go over all of what you send us and we will discuss it at length. So if you
Yes,
have any
thank you.
ideas, yeah,
Yeah.
we have a few ideas, but we'd love to hear from you.
Right, yeah, please do, because we do start looking for the next big question at about this time. And then we will present 3 or 4 choices to the Rossmore Interfaith Council. Let's see, Elise, you had your hand up.
When you send out the invitation for questions, could you send out the questions already covered? We don't.
Oh, that's a very good idea. I will do that. I'll send out the questions that we've covered. There's only 6 of them. We're in our 6th year right now, but I will send those out. Yes. Yes, we've covered about 25 different religions and spiritual paths. And it's been quite a learning. You know, if we could get this down on paper, we could probably get a university credit or something like that for it. Anyway, I better quit while I'm ahead. So we'll see you all.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaleo. Thank you, Elise.
Thank you. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.